Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, the shocking story that made headlines.
You wanted your eyesight removed completely.
That's right. I wanted to go blind permanently.
Why would a woman who can see...
What made you believe you wanted to be blind?
I wanted to be different.
Do the unthinkable.
She put liquid drain cleaner into her eyes. How did it feel?
On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a full 10. I couldn't do anything but scream.
A daytime exclusive.
All I could think was, yes, this is going to work. I'm going to be blind.
You can't see me right now, but I have a look of complete shock on my face. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Okay, I want everyone to close their eyes and keep them closed. Now, imagine that the complete darkness you're experiencing is your reality and you are blind. Now, I want you to imagine that being blind was something you actually wanted and obsessed over. In fact, you wanted to lose your sight so badly that you would do absolutely anything to make being blind your personal reality. Okay, open your eyes. Because Jewel says ever since she was a little girl, she knew she was different. And by the time she was 12 years old, she claimed she hated being able to see, and waking up every day was a painful reminder of how she wasn't born blind. So what did Jewel do? She took matters into her own hands. She put liquid drain cleaner into her eyes and fulfilled her dream of becoming blind. Now, Jewel made international headlines, and today, in a daytime exclusive, we're going to talk to Jewel about her shocking story and why she felt she had no choice but to take her own sight. But first, let's listen to why Jewel says being born with vision was like being born in a personal prison.
When I was 12 or 13, I was legally blind without my glasses. About that age is when I decided that I should have been born blind. I often went without my glasses. I felt that I was more comfortable. It got to the point to where I felt that I shouldn't be seeing at all. My mother told me that staring at the sun would make me blind, so I would lay on the grass and stare at the sun for hours. She lied to me. It didn't work. I wasn't really happy except when my eyes were closed or it was dark. I felt imprisoned by my sight. I would turn off the lights and sit in my room in the dark. I never did like to see my reflection. I felt very lonely because I was the only one I knew who felt like this. I really felt the need to be blind. People depend way too much on their eyesight. People believe that blindness is a disability. I think of being empowered and being free when I think of being blind.
Now, before Jewel made her life-altering decision, she says she spent countless hours and days pretending to be blind.
Heading level 3.
I found this online group. I loved being part of a group that understood what I was going through. We would share experiences and tips about how to blind sim, which is pretending to be blind. Blind simming gave me a lot of experience with the white cane. At first, I bumped into a lot of things, but I quickly learned how to get around. I had a sleep shade that I would wear over my eyes and then wear sunglasses that I had sprayed with model paint. And this is what it looked like when my sleep mask was fully adjusted under my sunglasses. The sleep shade would keep my eyes closed, and the sunglasses would keep people from seeing that I was blind simming. It was very freeing to go out in public and be treated as a blind person. I started traveling longer distances to go blind simming. One time I drove to Washington, D.C. I got on the metro and went downtown to the mall. I was able to get all over D.C. on my own. I could really live the life I wanted to live when I was in different places. The longest time that I blind simmed was 2 weeks. I was literally in the dark, totally blind.
Hi, Jewel, it's good to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you.
I have a lot of questions, as you can well imagine. What was your experience? What made you believe you wanted to be blind?
I simply felt there was a need. My body image, the image of who I was, just didn't match who I was in reality.
Okay, and you said this became very strong for you at about 12 or 13?
That's correct.
Okay, so when you were 4, 5, or 6, you were looking around and playing like every other child?
I was.
But was there something when you were 12 or 13 that began to trigger this for you?
I don't think there was anything that specifically triggered it. I think at that point it just started building up.
Did you want to be different?
In a way, yes, I wanted to be different.
You started kind of researching to see if there were others that felt this way, right?
Yes, I read an article about a man who put his legs on dry ice. And in the article, it talked about body integrity identity disorder. And at that point, I realized that I wasn't alone.
You were blind simming or artificially obstructing your view, but your goal was you wanted to get this done for real. You wanted to ultimately have your eyesight removed completely.
That's right.
After years of suffering, she shockingly took matters into her own hands.
I met a psychologist on the online group that I was a part of. I started telling him that I wanted to go blind permanently. He told me to do the research to show that I was serious, and then he would help me. I put all my time and effort into researching how to go blind. I decided on drain cleaner because it was easy to get. I was really worried about the pain of the procedure, so I found numbing eye drops from an online pharmacy. I booked a train ticket to Chicago to visit the psychologist. The whole time I was in Chicago, I blind simmed. I asked him several times during the 2 weeks when we would do the procedure. In the third week, he finally said, "We're ready." I was 23 years old, and I had waited all of my life for this chance. I took off the sleep shades, and that was the first and last time I saw the psychologist's face. I didn't even look in the mirror to say goodbye to myself. I didn't care. I wanted to be blind. He put numbing drops in my eyes. Then he filled the rubber syringe with the drain cleaner and put 2 drops in each of my eyes. It was a screaming, violent pain. The drain cleaner had eaten through my eyelids and my eyes, and yet with all the pain, all I could think was, yes, this is going to work. I'm going to be blind.
You had gotten some numbing drops from Canada, right?
That's correct.
Because you could get them there non-prescription?
That's correct.
And these are numbing drops that you put in to numb the surface of the eyeball?
That's correct.
Okay, and then you had gotten drain cleaner from just a retail store?
That's correct.
And then tell me how this worked. Did you lie down?
I lied down on his couch, and he sat next to me, and after the numbing drops took effect, he put 2 drops of the drain cleaner in each eye.
How did it feel?
It was a very violent burning. The drain cleaner ate through my cornea.
But ate through those numbing drops pretty quick,
Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was a full 10. I couldn't do anything but scream.
What was his reaction when you started screaming in pain?
He followed the plan, and the plan was to wait 30 minutes.
And do what?
Then go to the hospital.
So you went to the hospital. Did he go in with you?
He did.
And I assume they arrested him on the spot?
They did not.
And what did you tell them?
We told them it was an accident.
You can't see me right now, but I have a look of complete shock on my face. Why would a psychologist do that?
Doctors won't do it because they believe it's unethical.
Did it occur to you that maybe they were right? So you didn't check this person out at all?
I didn't. I trusted him.
Would it surprise you to know that he's had his license revoked in 3 states?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. She says her husband manipulated her into a post-nup agreement.
I was bullied into signing this.
He accuses her of cheating.
When he left me, I did go on a date.
Why did she have to lie to me about it?
Well, why did you say you had 3 kids instead of 4?
I never said that.
If they do call it quits,
Do you want a divorce?
will the post-nup hold up?
We don't have to fight about stuff.
Yeah, because I don't have anything. You have it all.
Then on Monday, she claims her ex
You say he poisoned your daughter's ice cream.
is tormenting their children.
Did you put your daughter in a garbage bag and try to drown her in a bathtub?
No, sir.
That's Monday.
You said that nobody else would do this because they would think it was unethical. Did it occur to you that maybe they were right?
Looking back, I think I would have done it a little differently. But I think it is ethical to cause somebody's disability if that's what they need as a person with BIID.
Which you self-diagnosed.
At first.
You find this psychologist in a chat room.
The online message board.
How did you form a relationship with him?
I asked him how I could cope with the condition.
Uh-huh.
I was having trouble coping with the need to go blind.
But there came a point where you decided to go see him.
I spent the 2 weeks, and then the 3rd week we did the procedure.
Did you see him daily during the 2 weeks?
I stayed at his home, and so I saw him almost all the time.
You stayed at his home?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Was this a personal relationship?
No, it was a psychologist-client relationship.
I was in private practice, and I didn't take anybody home with me. And at 24/7, that would get very expensive. I mean, how much did you pay this, if you recall, how much did you pay him?
I don't recall. It was hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars. How much was it per hour?
I believe it was $15 an hour.
How much?
$15 an hour.
$15 an hour?
Yes.
You say you didn't check this person out at all?
I didn't. I trusted him.
Yeah. Would it surprise you to know that he's had his license revoked in 3 states?
I knew recently that it had been revoked in 1 state. I did not know it had been revoked in 3 states.
Yeah, and it was revoked in the state that you traveled to 11 years before you traveled to see him. He had not been licensed in that state for 11 years.
That does surprise me.
Maybe that's why he was seeing you at his house, because you didn't have an office. Was that possible?
Of course it's possible.
Let's, just for argument's sake, hypothetically say that through some reasoning, it had been determined that it made sense to obliterate your eyesight. I'm just saying hypothetically. As a psychologist, he would not have had any medical training to perform a medical procedure.
That's correct.
I would think even a general practitioner that had a medical license would find that outside their lane. I think they would refer one to an ophthalmic surgeon or some type of specialist. You would just simply not do that. I'm so sorry that you wound up in the hands of someone that was not trained to do something. Whether it should have been done or not, it's a whole other question, but you were in the hands of somebody that could not possibly have known what they were doing, or they wouldn't have squirted acid from a retail store in your eyes.
This is part of why I want my story out. I want to have BIID recognized enough that people get the treatment that they need rather than get told just cope with it.
In fact, you wanted to have your eyes removed.
I did feel I wanted to have my eyes completely removed.
Okay. And have you had one of them removed now?
Yes, my left eye is gone. I had a corneal meltdown. My cornea was collapsing on itself and asked them to just remove the eye.
Was that a victory for you?
It felt like a victory, yes.
Did you tell them that the corneal meltdown was self-induced?
No, I didn't. I didn't tell anybody.
All right, well, let's take a break here. Jewel's former fiance says just 3 years ago, Jewel thought about getting a surgery to repair her vision. Does she regret her decision to take her sight? Is her vision repairable? We're going to add him to the conversation after the break.
We had planned to go to the hospital, not to save my sight, but to lessen the pain. When I first went to the hospital, I couldn't see anything, but in the morning I woke up and I was very upset because I could still see.
And later, we reached out to this psychologist who allegedly helped Jewel, and here's what he said.
That doesn't surprise me.
The last time we saw Hollywood actor Nicholas Brendan, he walked off this stage in a huff.
Now he's back.
Will he look me in the eye and answer my questions? We'll see. You were arrested just recently. You were drunk at the time.
That was inebriated, yeah.
Police say a woman told them Nicholas Brendan took her car keys and started choking her.
Did you obstruct her breathing?
No, I held her down to get the keys.
That's the 6th time that you've been arrested.
His downward spiral.
Police said you passed out, you had urinated on yourself.
When you wake up in jail, you're not sure why you're there. That's a very, very lonely feeling.
The voicemail he left a Dr. Phil producer.
I just need some help. I do. Please help me. Please help me.
What were you feeling at that moment?
Hopeless, probably. And afraid.
The reported suicide attempt.
Did you want to die that day?
I look at my life and I just think, how things could have been different,
Nicholas Brendan returns this November.
Since I came out that I was blind on purpose, my immediate family has basically disowned me. The blindness community has made a lot of negative comments. They say I shouldn't get Social Security, I shouldn't get the same services they get. It bothers me because part of becoming blind was a hope to be part of the blindness community.
Well, that was Jewel admitting that not only has her family turned their backs on her, but the blind community she longed to be a part of has also not welcomed her with open arms. Now, one person who hasn't abandoned Jewel is her former fiance and current roommate, Michael. He says that when Jewel asked him if she should have surgery to repair her vision, it shocked him and left him with many questions.
I developed macular degeneration when I was 42. I am legally blind. About 6 years ago, I met Jewel at the Rehab Center for the Blind. Jewel did not tell me that she had purposely taken her own eyesight. It was 3 years later when I found out. Jewel went to one of the local hospitals and talked to a specialist about doing a procedure that would give her part of her eyesight back. I told her that I think she might want to think hard before she actually goes through with it. I don't think Jewel would have been happy with her eyesight being restored. She has taken my advice so far and not gone through with the procedure.
Okay, Michael, thank you so much for being here. Tell me what led you to that advice, if that's what you said.
I did say that, and the reason that I said that is because she would eventually probably try and do it again.
So your thinking was, if she went through the surgery to correct it, that she might just turn around and undo the correction again.
Yes, sir.
Is that true?
I realized that taking that surgery, doing that procedure, would be giving in to my family and friends, not doing what I want to do.
Joining us right now is Dr. Michael First, a professor of clinical psychiatry at Columbia University, as well as the editorial and coding consultant for the DSM-5. This is the book that is used by psychologists and psychiatrists to make diagnoses. He is also the individual that coined the term body integrity identity disorder. So, Dr. First, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you're taking the time to come and join us. This is a disorder that you have been researching and looking into for quite some time, correct?
That's correct, yes. It's extremely rare. When I first came across it by accident, some documentary producer in the late 90s was calling me up to find out how they described two people who wanted to become amputees. And they called me up and said, how would you diagnose this? And I said, I have never heard of anyone wanting to become an amputee. And that, of course, piqued my interest as a scientist to find out what was going on. So I actually started, and I've spoken to over 130 people around the world who have a desire to become disabled in some way.
You know, I tried to look at some of the proposed diagnostic criteria and also some of the observations about Jewel, because I wanted to examine whether or not Jewel seemed like a viable candidate based on the research that you've done. And you say one of the things is the majority are focused on acquiring the identity of disability, and in this case, a blind person. And Jewel, in that regard, is similar. That the majority have a strong feeling that they should have been born disabled, in this case blind, as long as they can remember. But with Jewel, this is something that didn't come along, at least in a prominent way, until 12 or 13. She mentions a blind friend and also a class project, which suggests that there might be modeling or some learned behavior. And then you say the majority of people sometimes pretending to be disabled, blind behavior often quells the feeling, so there's no need to actualize. And in this case, it actually solidified her feeling of the desire to be blind. And they tend to view the disability as empowerment. And in her case, that's similar. So there are some similarities, but there are some some pretty glaring differences just on this side. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely.
And the people that, certainly those that report this and have had some success with it, they report to be otherwise normally stress-free in their lives. And what we see here are multiple life stresses. And I have to say, not really a reliable historian. Okay, 7 months ago, Jewel was interviewed by her local news about losing her sight, but she claimed it was a complete accident which devastated her. Was that the real story or the one she is telling today? Here, I'm going to ask her after the break. At the beginning of October, Jewel made headlines when she put drain cleaner in her eyes to fulfill her desire to become blind. Now, 4 weeks after the incident, you say, I'm currently working closely with an eye specialist who is helping me recover, but unfortunately will not approve the removal of my eyes. My sight has recovered a bit, despite my attempts to stop such by not using the medication that is supposed to help. I'm still sighted, enjoying being able to play blind with my family and keeping my eyes closed. They do not know that I can see better than they think. And over time, I will just pretend that my vision is deteriorating and will find ways to make that deterioration true.
Right. At that time, I was partially sighted, what people call low vision.
Are you having a problem because you're not telling the truth to the news?
I did not tell the truth when I told the newspaper that it was an accident.
Blind Raleigh woman raises funds to help blind Indonesians. She lost her eyesight in a freak accident. I was pouring drain cleaner down the drain. It splashed into my face. You know, Dr. First, one of the things that drives so much about those with body identity disorder, of course, is feeling like they're not living authentically and they're living a lie.
That's right.
And in this situation, that's what she's saying, but yet she's then out lying about who she is.
In general, I think that she's also reflecting the obvious reaction of people to the rejection of the self-induced nature of this.
Listen, the reason I'm saying this is because I think you've come to the point you're at on a really dysfunctional road. If you were going to be a candidate for any type of procedure like you have self-inflicted here, I think any responsible professional would say that you needed to go through prolonged counseling by a skilled and ethical professional, that you needed to live in a reversible form of this lifestyle for at least a year or two, Dr. First, before you did something irreversible?
I would think so, yeah.
Not 2 weeks at some guy's house, and you just haven't had that incubation period.
I never had that chance.
That's my point.
And if BID was recognized, people would have the chance to have that 2 years pretending to, practicing to be blind or paralyzed or amputee.
In the past, Jewel has posted very specific advice on how to blind yourself. Dr. Travis Stork is here and says giving specific advice like that poses a serious problem for the medical community. We're going to see what he has to say about that when we come back.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, she wants their post-nup thrown out.
She says she felt bullied into this agreement.
Well, yeah, she got caught. She deceived me.
Were you cheating?
All new Dr. Phil. That's tomorrow.
Now, joining us now is Dr. Travis Stork. He's a board-certified emergency medicine physician, as well as the host of The Doctors. Dr. Stork worries about the dangers of people trying to disable themselves. And, you know, Dr. Stork, we're talking about this here because it's a reality. We want to enlighten people about it. But we also don't want the power of suggestion. We don't want copycat. You want to throw up a caution flag because you don't want to see these people coming into the ER.
Well, on numerous levels, Jewel's story is troublesome. I think it's troublesome for anyone listening right now. And when you're an ER doc, people need to understand it's where mental health meets physical health, because people will do things like Jewel did, and then they'll end up in the emergency department. And I don't know that I've ever seen someone with BID, because a lot of times, like Jewel, you won't know someone is engaged in self-harm. My big concern here, Dr. Phil, is I keep thinking of all of the patients who show up with suicidal ideation and attempted suicides, and the only way out for them, they think, is to kill themselves. In Jewel's case, I hear over and over again, her only way out was to blind herself. To actually have this diagnosis is very rare. I do worry that people are going to hear this story, go online, join a message board, hear how to do it, and pour drain cleaner in their eyes. And there are going to be a lot of people, number one, who regret it. There are going to be a lot of people who not only lose their vision, but cause other irreparable harm. And so, yes, I'm concerned.
This is very rare. And what I'm wanting to point out is I don't want to contribute to your stress, but I would have to say there are so many things that I would want to see resolved before choosing this option to make sure that this is really what is driving you. I mean, comorbidity is a reality. There are a lot of things that are existing in parallel here. And I got an email from a family member of yours. And it said, in part, most people who know Amber would say that she was a troubled teen, always wanted to fit in but couldn't. So she would find herself with the wrong crowds, active in vampirism and submissive dominant relationships. According to emails to friends, she was disappointed that doctors would not remove her eyes because they believed she could heal and potentially have normal vision again. Dealing with Amber has been difficult for my family for a long time. But now there's more to it than that. I feel like I'm just waiting for a phone call telling me that she got in another accident and is now dead. I doubt that blindness will make her happy, and I don't want to see what she's going to try next. By the way, we're referring to her as Amber and Jewel. She was born Amber, but she goes by Jewel. That's the reason there's two names being thrown around. When we come back, we reached out to the psychologist Jewel claims helped her take her sight. I'm going to tell you what he said after the break.
Do you need Dr. Phil's help? Text Phil to 88500 and share your story for a chance to appear on the show. Standard message and data rates may apply.
If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Or you can call 323-461-PHIL. We reached out to this psychologist who allegedly helped Jewel, and here's what he said. I do not know who that is. I did nothing of the sort in reference to helping her by putting the drain cleaner in the eyes. I have no idea why she mentioned me.
That doesn't surprise me.
Why not?
Because he's covering his back.
But you maintain that he did do it, and you did stay there.
That's correct.
I'm not telling you that you don't have the right to do what you want to do. What I'm telling you is from a clinical standpoint, from an ethical standpoint, there are responsible steps and procedures that you need to go through. And I'm asking you if you will go through those before you inflict any further damage on your eyes?
I will go through those steps, but I don't plan to do any further damage to my eyes.
Is that because you don't need to?
That's correct.
If you want to have a relationship with your family, don't you think that needs to start with sitting down and having a really honest conversation with them about where you are and what's going on and the truth about the mistakes you may have made in getting where you are?
As soon as they're willing to sit down with me.
Well, but you've got to be willing to own where you are and how you got where you are. And I'm hoping that they will hear me say that I think an open and fresh dialogue here is very important to having a healthy relationship with them and a healthy adjustment for you. And if I need to, I will FedEx them a DVD of this show with an invitation for them to watch it and hear my plea that they sit down and have a conversation with you. But going off and doing this to yourself as opposed to going through the proper steps and channels here has got to be very disconcerting to them. And you own that you made some bad choices in the way you've done this.
I did make bad choices.
They need to hear you own that, and hopefully that will make a difference to them. And I'm going to certainly support that they have a dialogue with you. And if I need to get you and your families some professional counseling to sit down all together in a room and talk through this, then I most certainly will do that. I'll make it, okay? Coming up, 2 women who decided enough is enough and it was time to fix some of their bad choices. I'll tell you what I'm talking about after the break. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today.
Dr. Phil, this was my go-to bikini, and it really actually used to fit me, and I felt really good in it, and now I don't, and I would like to get back into it, and I hope you can help me.
I've tried numerous diets. I'm really, really, really athletic. I've done marathons, so I keep myself active, but I also eat a lot. Dr. Phil, I really, really need your help changing my lifestyle and taking off these 40 pounds.
Well, that was cousins Neely and Betsy, who said they were tired of not seeing results when it came to losing weight. So they joined our 2020 Diet Book test group, and they're only about 8 weeks into the program, but are seeing amazing results. Here is Betsy. She looks right now in a side-by-side comparison. Lost 15 pounds and 1 full size. Definitely, so yes. Amazing. All right, this was Neely in her polka dot bikini only 2 months ago. 3 sizes lost, over 4% body fat. So this is just 8 weeks. You girls are doing really well.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to you.
Thanks to all of you guys at home. This book has gone to #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, and I mean, we are absolutely assaulting obesity in America with this, and I'm really proud of it. Yeah. So are you shocked?
Completely. I mean, two months in, who expected that kind of change?
Yeah, so what's made the difference for you?
I think the phases.
Phase 1 really was the most beneficial for me. It really just cleared my palate.
You do have to reset your palate. We don't come out of the womb wanting the things that we get addicted to. You get addicted to sugar, you get addicted to salt, you get addicted to fat. You truly get addicted to it. And it only takes a few days to detox from that. So phase 1, the idea, you do lose a lot of weight really fast at the beginning, and that's okay because you build momentum. You get on a new path. It keeps you motivated. I choose your meals and snacks because I want to put the dots close together so you don't have a lot of decisions to make, right? And you really learn to distinguish between Physical hunger, habit hunger, and mind hunger.
Yes, definitely.
Big deal, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are the snacks that you liked?
I was not a smoothie person at all. You couldn't get me to do a shake or a smoothie, and now I can't wait to have them when they, you know, when we eat them. Yeah.
And for me, it was the peanut butter with the apple and the cottage cheese with the pistachio.
Yeah. Do you feel deprived?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Are you hungry?
No.
And I was so surprised by that.
Phase 2, new foods, power proteins, prime produce. Phase 3, you're maintaining a steady weight loss. I mean, you're just going down constantly, and you can dine out without slowing your progress because we tell you exactly what to eat, and you really discover a lot of variety. I wanted the dots really close together here.
They are.
And that's what's done. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. What you can do 30 seconds before any meal, you got to remind yourself your goal weight and the core reasons for eating healthier. I mean, seriously, if you just take 30 seconds, you just sit down, remind yourself of your goal weight. Will the meal fuel your body and accomplish your goals? Assign a positive meaning to the food that you're eating. Now, I know that sounds a little in your head, but if you really stop and think about what you're eating and why you're eating,
oh, I do.
Huge difference.
Yeah. This will help me feel better, and it will help me look better.
All right, well, we're going to keep tracking you guys. But you're doing great, but I want to see even less of you next time.
Okay.
I want to thank all of my guests today, and a very special thanks to Dr. Travis Stork. And you can watch me and Jewel on The Doctors today as well. I would also like to thank Dr. Michael First for being here today. And if you want your own copy of the 2020 Diet, it's available anywhere books are sold. But if you're in the audience, you don't have to buy one because everybody's going home with a copy. I know we live in an environment where we're always on the go, so I'm proud to say that you can also go to the 2020 Diet app. Makes it easier than ever for you to maintain your health following the 2020 Diet. If you want to find it, go to iTunes or the Google Play, and you can download the app for free. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.